Good morning, everybody. We'll call the meeting to order. I think we have everybody back from pictures. I will ask that in Jerry call the roll. Here.
Here.
Jeffrey Bond.
Present.
Here.
No.
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 Barbara Davis.
That can, no.
Oh, say hi, Nadia.
Benita Haley.
Here.
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 Peter McDougal.
Here.
Deborah Malumet.
Here.
Robert McDonald.
Here.
Alice Perez. Michelle Price.
Here.
Jerry Reed.
Here.
Anna Thomas.
Here.
I will note that Vice President Perez will be with us a little bit later today. I'm going to ask Member Reed to do the Pledge of Allegiance today. Please stand.
Please stand. Salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everybody. I hope everybody had a very good New Year and holiday season. The board had a very good retreat yesterday, and I think we can all say we're looking forward to a very productive year. The first thing I want to do for the President's report is introduce to everybody our newest member of the Board of Governors. That's Isabel Barreras there, and ask that Jeanette Mann come say a few words about our new friend, and then I'll let Isabel introduce herself to everybody.
Thank you. I'm Jeanette Mann. I'm the new acting president of the California Community Trustees Association, and I am the president of the California Community College League. And I just wanted to say how very, very pleased we are to have Isabel, who is the acting first vice president of the CCT board and also on the league, serving on the Board of Governors. And we hope that having her representing us, that we will be able to work together more closely. And I plan on attending the meetings, and Isabel will be reporting to our boards, both boards, on the activities of the Board of Governors. So we're very pleased to have her here. I know she'll do a great job, because she does for us. Yeah. Thank you.
Jeanette, thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate that. And yes, I am looking forward to working with the board, and thank you for having me here. I am a trustee from State Center Community College District down in Fresno, but I live in Madera. I've been serving on the board for 8 years, and so I'm really appreciated. I really appreciate the governor appointing me to the Board of Governors. I look forward to working with you and to bringing my knowledge and learning from all of you as we work collaboratively to serve our students in the state of California. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. With that, I really don't have too much in the President's report other than to once again thank Member Debbie Malumet for her great service last year as President. Appreciate your leadership and steps you took to get us to here, and I hope to show just as well as you did.
Oh,
so.
Thank you.
May I have a suggestion?
Yes.
Could you just mention about Nadia Davis-Lockyer?
Sure. Member Nadia Davis-Lockyer has resigned from our board. Many of you know that she did win a county supervisorial election this past November, and that kind of prohibits her from serving on the Board of Governors, so she will no longer be attending our meetings. With that, we'll move into the Chancellor's report.
All right. Of course, biggest news in Sacramento for the past few weeks is the inauguration of a new governor. And always with the election of a new governor and his inauguration, we have a lot of changes that occur. There are many changes in the staff. Some of those have not yet occurred. He has made some appointments, and there are still appointments to be made. Now, in terms of the election of Governor Brown, there are a lot of implications. One is, of course, the implication for the budget, and that is to be revealed. His proposed budget is revealed today at 11 o'clock, and we'll have a report tomorrow about that. Our Vice Chancellor, Eric Skinner, will report on that. We do know that it is going to be a tough budget due to the structural deficit of the state. We don't know for sure what the implications might be for this office. He indicated that he was going to reduce the budget of the governor's office, and whether that will mean the other state agencies, such as this office, will have reduction in their budget remains to be seen. We talked a little bit at the retreat about whatever implications might be for the Board of Governors. We know that the governor appoints members of the board, and we will be working with him and his staff. I have already made one contact of an individual, and I have placed a phone call, and I've been told that I will be receiving a phone call from another staff member. But it's not always easy when you get into a new governor to find out who the key people are and who makes the decisions. I was very fortunate to have worked well with Governor Schwarzenegger and his staff, and of course that was based upon some prior relationships that had been established when I was in the legislature. On December 14th, several of us were at the Education Summit that at that time Governor-elect Jerry Brown held. There was a rather large crowd at UCLA on December 14th. It was dealing specifically with education. And there were presentations by various individuals about the budget. Anna Montesantos, who is the new Director of Finance, was there, made a presentation. So did John Chang, the Controller. Bill Lockyer, the State Treasurer, was there and made a presentation, and also Tom Torlakson, the new Superintendent of Public Instruction. Incidentally, Tom Torlakson will be coming later today to appear before this board, and I will introduce him at that time. I would say that Governor Brown has clearly decided to be very blunt and candid in his assessment. He has said, in effect, that we're no longer going to be dealing with smoke and mirrors, that we are going to, number one, present the budget, and then say to the public, perhaps in a later election, perhaps in June, if they want to raise taxes in order to improve services. If they don't do that, then the cuts will be even more severe. So, as I said, we will hold off on any kind of announcement about the budget until tomorrow, when we will have had a little time to digest what the governor says today at 11 o'clock at his budget presentation. And our Vice Chancellor, our Executive Vice Chancellor, will be going over and discussing with one of the members of the Finance Department a preview of that budget. He'll leave shortly to go get that preview. Might mention just a few things that happened between our meeting in November and this present meeting. I went to a Board of Directors meeting of AACC, American Association of Community Colleges, in Washington, D.C. on November 11th and 12th. Those of us who are directors of community colleges of the various states were invited, and I'll tell you that the word that I heard more than any other was student success. It seems that that's the national watchword, and I'll talk a little bit later. One of the We're going to have an action item a little later on a Student Success Task Force, and I will go into some detail, but I can just tell you that in every state of the union, the community colleges are talking about improving student success, and certainly we will want to take advantage of all of those ideas. Then in November 18th through 20th, I also attended and was the keynote speaker at the Community College League Conference. I had a keynote speech on where we've been, where we are, and where we want to be. And I said where we want to be was that I had three major recommendations for those of us in California community colleges. I said, number one, we've got to seek additional funding. We not only from the state, and we need the help, incidentally, of not only this staff here working, but of all of you to contact your legislators and to let them know about the needs of the community college. We keep repeating the fact that last year we estimated we turned away 140,000 students. I mean, these are students who wanted to come to community colleges but could find no class. Now, when we say we turned them away, of course, we're in open enrollment. So it's not like we said they couldn't come, but it doesn't make any difference if you come and you can't find a class. And so many of them, either by computer or by telephone or by arriving on campus, found that they were denied the classes that they wanted to have. And of course, I believe that's a tragedy for the persons, but I think it's a tragedy for the economic welfare of California. So we talked a little bit, I talked a little bit about seeking additional funding, not only state funding, but the possibility of maybe generating some other income through foundations and other activities and contacts with the business community. Secondly, I tried to emphasize the fact that we need to prioritize. We can no longer do everything that we've done in the past. Even the legislature told us in their budget message during the 9-10 year, they said that we are to emphasize career technical education, transfer education, and basic skills. So there are a lot of things that we've done in lifelong learning and other areas that were wonderful things, but we can't do them anymore. We've got to prioritize. I sometimes have said it's a little bit like, General Motors finally decided that they couldn't produce all 5 of their brands, so they got rid of Pontiac and Oldsmobile and said, okay, we're now going to produce Buick, Cadillacs, and Chevrolets. So we're going to have to determine what our best brands are, and we're going to have to prioritize. And then finally, I did talk a little bit about improving student success, that improving student success is something that impacts faculty, counselors, Board of Trustees, presidents, everyone, to make students as successful as we possibly can make them. So that was kind of the essence of my keynote speech. We will be going to Washington on February, I believe it's 13th through 16th, 14th through 16th. And at that time, we will be making calls on key individuals in Washington. We do this on an annual basis. A few members of the staff and a few members of the Board of Governors go to Washington because, of course, there are possibilities of funding coming from the federal government. I was just in conversation, for instance, with Gary Reed, one of our Board of Governors members, who happens to be a good friend of Kevin McCarthy, who is one of the leading individuals in the new Congress. He's third ranking member. He's now the majority whip, and he's from Bakersfield, and so I want to call on him. I want to call on people like Adam Schiff, who represents my area of Pasadena. Go to talk to Martha Cantor, who is, of course, Undersecretary of Education, and a host of other Congress members and government officials and the press. We had some very excellent meetings. Terry Carball and I went to see the Washington Post and the Chronicle of Higher Education last year and Inside Higher Education. So we'll be doing that in February. I believe that concludes my report, unless someone has any questions to ask about both former happenings or future happenings.
Any comments or questions from board members? No. I would like to relate to the board one thing regarding the Washington trip, a bit of good news. Vice President Paris and I will be going on that trip. I know Member Baum will be going on that trip. The good news from the Chancellor's office is the board actually has one more space. So what I would ask, if you are interested in attending the Washington trip, please let me know. Send me an email or talk to me sometime during the meeting here, but we will be able to select one additional member of the board to make that trip. So, yeah.
President Scott?
Yes.
I will be attending on behalf of State Center already, so.
Great.
That's a great opportunity.
And Member Baca as well. Very, very good. Very good. So please see me if you have an interest. Moving on to our approval of the minutes. Do we have a motion for that?
I so move.
Member Azumi, seconded by Member McDonald. That's gonna get it's line of sight.
He wished.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 1.2, Antelope Valley Community College District, Palmdale Center site relocation. Executive Vice, go ahead.
Before we proceed with the rest of the agenda, could we introduce our new staff members?
Absolutely.
I'm very happy to introduce Kimberly Cortijo. Kimberly is our coordinator for the early assessment program and also our new liaison to the Student Senate. So she wears two hats very well. She came to us in October. She has almost 10 years experience in higher education and social services. And she most recently was the financial aid manager at Sacramento City College before she came to the Chancellor's office. So thank you, Kimberly.
Welcome. Okay.
All right.
Is that it? Okay. Barry?
I have.
It's on.
Yeah.
On? Okay, good. I have two members to introduce. Jo Glenn is our new grants monitor. She works with all the accounting of all the grants that come out of academic affairs. We're very happy to have her. She moved from another agency to the Chancellor's office. And then also I would like to introduce Mark Wade Liu, who is coming to us on an interjurisdictional exchange. We're very happy to have Mark here. Mark is going to be taking the leadership on basic skills in ESL from the Chancellor's office. And most of you know Mark from his past work as the president of the Academic Senate and working on several committees in the state.
And I'd like to introduce, he's not here today, but we sent out an announcement about this, but the Vice Chancellor for Fiscal Policy was appointed at the tail end of the Schwarzenegger administration. So Dan Troy will be joining us on January 18th. And I'm looking forward to introducing him to all of you. I think he'll be a great addition to the team, and I included a little more information in the email that I sent around.
Great. Well, welcome to all of you. We look forward to working with you. I just have to ask Chancellor, who's this guy at the end? I thought he was retired.
Well, they're just some people you don't get rid of. No, we're thrilled that Jose has come back as a retired annuitant until we are able to make a decision or to have an approval of a new Vice Chancellor of workforce preparation and economic development. Jose did a superb job for us in all those years that he served in that capacity, and we were unable to get him to stay around. He announced his retirement, but we're able to bring him back for some activity until we're able to replace him.
Very good. Very good. Okay, Executive Vice Chancellor Bruckman.
Yeah, the next item is the Antelope Valley Community College District item. Eric is the presenter, but if you'd like, it's pretty straightforward. I think this is simply a change in the location of this center, so if the board would, we ask the board to adopt a motion to support that.
Any questions from the board?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Accept.
I'm sorry, who's second? Member Price. Very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item 2.1, approval of contracts and grants.
Yeah, so this is the usual submission of contracts and grants for the board's approval. If there are questions, fortunately, Jose Millan is here to answer them. If there aren't any questions, a motion.
Member McDonald?
I'll move that we accept the contracts and grants.
Second by Member Price. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 2.2, Board of Governors meeting locations for 2012.
Yeah, at the last meeting, the meeting dates for 2012 was adopted, but there was some interest in perhaps making a change or having a different location, so it was brought back to the board for another discussion.
Yes, and I think in our retreat yesterday, we did talk about maybe bringing back in November the discussion about having one additional meeting outside of the Capitol in 2012, but we all felt like we ought to see where things stood and have that discussion at our November meeting. Any other board member comments or questions? No. Do we need a motion for that?
No.
No. Okay. Board of Governors meeting locations for 2011.
Yes, and again, this was at the last board meeting, the board adopted its schedule for 2011 and established a November 7th, 8th meeting date to be held at the College of the Redwoods, but there was some interest in reopening this and having some further discussion.
Yes. Yes, at our retreat yesterday, the board discussed trip to the Redwoods, and we certainly thought that maybe going there in November could pose some issues in terms of travel and weather. And so we brought up the other option that we had talked about, and that was going to Butte College and possibly moving that meeting, the November meeting, outside the Capitol to September when the weather might be a little bit more temperate. We also discussed that it's probably important that we stay fairly near to the Capitol in September. Session will go on a little longer this year, that it's not an election year. As we will hear later, there are going to be all kinds of budget and other policy issues that staff, the Chancellor, and maybe even us need to be here for during that time. So I think it was the board's general feeling that we ought to change our meeting outside the Capitol to September and visit Butte College. I'll let other members comment if they so like. Member Baum.
First, I'll move that we reschedule the meeting for the September meeting to Butte College, and then plan to hold the November meeting back here in the Capitol.
Great.
A second.
And then, just I wanted to restate also, since we have new members, a principle I've advocated for, and I feel others feel the same. There is a lot of benefit for the board to actually get outside of Sacramento to individual districts, not only to the benefit for the districts to be able to interact with the board and understand the governance, but also for us as board members to see more of a frontline impact of the policies that we make. And it was a very valuable experience for all of us in November when we got to go to El Camino College and also tour the Compton Center, which has obviously been a major issue that the board has grappled with, to see firsthand what's happening on the ground there. And that's a principle I want to continue to advocate for.
Good. Other comments? We have a motion by Member Baum, seconded by Member Haley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Vice Chancellor Garcia, our Community College State and Federal Legislative Program for 2011.
Good morning, members, President and Chancellor. We've had several discussions about the proposal in your board item 2.4, the proposed legislation that would be part of your sponsored package.
Sure.
Excuse me. And I would like to just reiterate, I'm not going to go through the detail, but the three specific state bills would be the common assessment, the e-transcript, and the property tax backfill, which are all outlined in your board item. In addition, we discussed the federal program, which is somewhat different. You don't sponsor legislation, but what we thought was it would be important to identify priorities. And those priorities are also listed in your board item. And those priorities would be to continue looking at veterans issues, and it's very likely that we'll just resubmit the veterans earmark proposal. Look at financial aid opportunities, any opportunities to bring additional resources to California to help students either increase participation in financial aid or increase funding for financial aid grants. And then some technology proposals related to our state legislative package, for example, trying to find any federal funding to help us in that conversion costs from the paper transcripts to e-transcripts. In addition, we talked about another proposal, and that would be to reintroduce legislation that you sponsored last year, but narrow it in scope. And what that would do would give the Board of Governors and the Chancellor the authority to appoint the Vice Chancellors serving here in the Chancellor's office through the career executive appointment process. And that process is currently available to us. It is the process that three vice chancellors have come through on, but you have to have civil service status or have to have worked in the executive branch or legislature. So the legislation would focus in on adding a provision that says, and we'd also be able to appoint someone through this process if they've had 5 years experience in higher education, community college, or specific technical expertise from industry that helps promote the goals of the Chancellor's office. So that would be the added provision, and that would be the focus of the legislation. So I bring that before you today, and I will actually have that written up. It's being written as we speak, and to detail the specifics of what that would look like. But that's basically what it would do. It would be very narrow in scope and specifically allow us to hire vice chancellors through that particular appointment process without having to go through only the gubernatorial process.
That we adopt the legislative program.
We have a motion by Member Baum,
Second.
seconded by Member Azumi. Any comments? Member Baca?
Could you discuss a little bit about our continuing efforts with veterans?
Sure. I was planning on providing more detailed information about the veterans earmark from last year. Unfortunately, the omnibus bill that contained all the veterans, all the earmarks across the country was defeated. So we essentially would need to start the process over again. And we can talk more about that later as far as strategy, because there's some discussion about alternative approaches to earmarks. They probably won't call them earmarks. I hear they're going to call them something like telemarks. But there will be a process, most likely, for legislators who like to be able to do things for their constituents back home. So we can talk more about that. And we certainly will want to reintroduce the veterans earmark.
Okay. Motion brought forward by Member Baum, seconded by Member Azumi. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this point, I will turn it over to the Chancellor for item 2.5, our task force on student success. At the same time, I would like to inform the board that I have appointed Member Baca to this task force to represent us along with Member McDougall.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a cold, and so my voice is a little deeper than usual, although it's generally pretty deep anyway. I mentioned earlier that when I was in Washington, D.C., the most repeated theme was student success. It is part of President Obama's goal. You recall that he is hoping that once again we will regain our #1 spot in the U.S. We are now outranked by some other countries in terms of the the percentage of college graduates, and particularly in ages 25 through 34. We still have more college graduates among those of us who are older, but we have slipped in terms, or it's not so much we've slipped, a lot of other countries have accelerated their program in terms of turning out college graduates. It's also, student success is something that I would say that we've experienced some external pressures here in the state of California. For instance, Senate Bill 1143 in its original form simply said that the community colleges would now have another census date, and it would be at completion. And we realized that that might have some unfortunate consequences. We pointed out, for instance, that there were some colleges in other parts, in some of the low-income areas, who have a lower completion rate than colleges in the suburban area, and that would unduly penalize them. But we still hear a lot of rumblings. We had a conversation with the Department of Finance and so forth. So aside from the fact that I think student success is something we ought to be emphasizing, I would point out that it's something that I think we ought to take a leadership on reform rather than waiting for reform to be visited upon us. So what we did, we took Senate Bill 1143. It was amended, conversation between myself and Senator Lieu. And this Senate Bill 1143 said we will form a student success task force. And this task force would meet for the year of 2011. And at the end of that year, in January, we will report back to the Board of Governors. And we wanted to keep this within the Board of Governors. And then we would, for the approval of our recommendations, then we would give a report in March to the legislature. So that's the nature of Senate Bill 1143. Well, we immediately began to work on this. The staff and others have worked on it. And I will say we have met with quite a bit of success. We already have 2 foundations who are willing to underwrite this effort. And we have proposals that we have received verbal indication that they will be favorably viewed by 3 other foundations. We hope to raise as much as a little over $500,000 to underwrite the work of this Student Success Task Force. The Student Success Task Force will meet once a month, and we will be hearing from experts, not only from here in California, but from individuals from other states who have had outstanding programs. We may well hold meetings in other parts of the state, town hall meetings, to get input. We've already decided that we're going to have a web page in which people can make contributions to us. The kinds of subjects that we will discuss will be things like basic skills, improvement of financial aid, instructional strategies, perhaps what are our barriers to improved student success. There's a lot of things that we'll be looking at. And one of the things that we have been able to do as a result of foundation funding is that, as I've already mentioned, of course, Dr. Peter McDougall of the Board of Governors will be the chair of this Student Success Task Force, and I've been exceedingly impressed by what Peter has already done in terms of diving into this, and I might say this is a voluntary effort on the part of Peter. He is, as you know, a retired president of Santa Barbara City College and knows a lot about student success and things of that nature, but I really appreciate all that he's done. But we realized that we would need someone on a full-time basis to serve as kind of the executive director of the Student Success Task Force, and would be paid out of the foundation funds that we would receive. And we've been very happy to get the services of Amy Supinger. Amy is, in fact, why don't you stand up, Amy? You're at the back there. Amy is a former staffer in the Capitol. For years, she was the chief consultant in the Senate for the Senate Budget Committee on Education. She was the chief consultant on higher education, so her knowledge of community colleges is very good, and she's very capable. And so after her retirement from that position, we were able to get Amy to work full-time on this, and that'll make a lot of difference. As we began to think about who should make up this task force, and I might say, frankly, we had more volunteers than we were able to accommodate because we couldn't afford to have, or we didn't think it was wise to have 40 or 50 people as a member of a task force. So we had 20 people that we've chosen, and we're going to recommend them this morning, and I'm going to pass this out. And we did a lot of consultation. We talked with Jane Patton, the Academic Senate President, who in turn made recommendations. We talked with a lot of other sources of people, and this is a wide-ranging task force composed of largely internal people, that is community college people, but also some external people, because we felt that gave it validity. We weren't simply saying we're going to make this an inside job, but we think the legislature, for instance, as they looked on this, would have to say, wait a minute, we want to make sure that people are not only community college people, but people, business, and other organizations. So I'm going to pass out the task force members, and I'll go over it with the board and talk briefly about it. And then I would ask the board to take action to approve the Student Success Task Force. So let's pass this out. And the reason I waited till today, I want to, well, first place, this is something for you to approve. So I am not assuming anything, and so I will try to go over this very briefly. Yes?
I have a request. Could
What?
you send out the dates and places of the meetings that this task force is going to have to all the board members? So if we're in the neighborhood and we'd like to attend, that we know about them?
Certainly. And we have a tentative calendar. We have not yet decided when we will be outside of Sacramento. So you make an assumption that it will be in Sacramento. But the first meeting is going to be on January 18th and 19th. We have asked Kay McClenny, who is from the University of Texas and is a well-known authority, to speak to us at a dinner on the 18th, and then on the 19th we will meet all day, and we will be saying. So I'll go over this very quickly. It's a very diverse task force, I might point out, and it has three CEOs. By CEOs, I mean either presidents or chancellors. It has 5 faculty members. It has 1 classified person. It has 1 student, 1 trustee, 2 members of the Board of Governors. I believe that's, and then, as I say, some outside people. 1 chief instructional officer and 1 chief student services officer. So I'll quickly name the people. Of course, as has already been mentioned, Manuel Baca. Manuel is a man that wears many hats. He's not only a faculty member, but he's also a member of our board and a member of the Board of Trustees at Mount San Antonio. Christopher Cabalden, Mayor of West Sacramento, and a well-known educational expert, one of the outsiders. Dr. Constance Carroll, Chancellor of the San Diego Community College District. Tara Cooper, a classified person, matriculation student personnel assistant at American River College. Dr. Yasmin Delahousse, who is the Chief Student Services Officer at Los Angeles Community College. Dr. Benjamin Duran, he's the president of Merced College, but he's also was the co-chair of the Commission on the Future that was by the League, Community College League. Dr. Dennis Gervin, he is our CIO representative from Columbia College. Dr. Robert Grabiner, formerly in community colleges, now at CSU, and is head of the Research and Planning Group. Dr. Richard Hansen, who is from Foothill College. Dr. Bryce Harris, Chancellor of the Los Rios Community College District. Carol Liu, who was the author of the bill from the 21st Senate District. Dr. Peter McDougall. Dr. Jeanette Mann, whom you've already met. She is the president of the California Community College Trustees and a member of the Board of Trustees at Pasadena Area Community College. Dr. Ted Mitchell, president and CEO of the New Schools Venture Fund and former president of the State Board of Education. Dr. David Morris, an English professor at Long Beach City College. Alex Pater, who is the president of the Student Senate. Dr. Jane Patton, whom all of you know is the president of the Academic Senate. Cynthia Rico Bravo, who is a counselor professor at San Diego Mesa College. Dr. David Rattray, who is the Senior Vice President of Education Workforce Development for the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce, and Dr. Nancy Shulock, well-known researcher, heads up the Institute for Higher Education Leadership and Policy at California State University. So those are the 20 members. I went over them rather quickly, but that's what we've got lined up. We're working very hard. In fact, I guess I'll have to be honest and say that this will probably be my primary thrust this year, to work on this. I remember when I first came to this job, as I was thinking about what it is that we needed to address in community colleges, student success came to my mind. I thought that seems like to me the thing that we're talking about. Nobody can fault us for our access. We don't have as much access today as we wish we had, but it's through no fault of our own. It's because the state hasn't furnished us the resources. But student success, and incidentally, we're going to have to look at a lot of ways of improving student success that don't cost money. We may recommend some things that cost money, but all of us here know that money supply is rather sparse in the state of California. So a lot of the things we'll be talking about, whether it's the improvement of basic skills or improvement of financial aid, or whether we're talking about more effective instructional strategies or other ways to improve student success, or early warning systems, for instance. One of the things that a lot of colleges have found out, and we've got some pretty outstanding things that are happening in California community colleges, but in many instances, they're not replicated. They're not duplicated. Today, or is it tomorrow? I believe it's tomorrow. I'm not sure. We have a presentation from Chabot College about basic skills. Right. So that's going to be we're going to have a lot of wonderful presentations, and if we can just get some of these great ideas duplicated in colleges, we can improve student success. Incidentally, Dr. Patrick Perry, who is our outstanding Vice Chancellor of Institutional Research, will be working with us on the very first meeting of saying, what are the metrics? What are the things that measure student success? Such as improvement of associate degrees, improvement of better outcomes in basic skills, remedial education, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So We're going to be establishing in the first meeting probably what are going to be our measures that will, it's not going to be just sort of theoretical, but it's going to be, here we are now, and where do we want to be in terms of improving? What are the marks that indicate that you've improved student success in California community colleges? So I'll be glad to answer any questions. Yes.
I was going to ask.
Member Melamed?
Thank you. I was going to ask, but I think I know the answer. I thought we were also going to include people from the business world on this committee. So is that Mr. Rattray's?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Their board member comments? Member Baum?
I just want to say, the folks that you've recruited seem like a very impressive group that represents so many aspects of the type of coalition we need to move the system forward. So I'd be happy to move the establishment of the task force and appoint the members.
Yeah. I'd also like to say I had the very good fortune, Chancellor, of working with Amy Supinger when I was in the governor's office here, and she was in the Senate. I think it's an outstanding selection and bodes well for the success of this task force. So we have a motion by Member Baum.
Second.
A second by Member Davis-Lyman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Chancellor, Member McDougall, we wish you the best, and let us all know, and Member Baca, let us all know how we can assist, and I'm look forward to attending a meeting or two myself as you move forward. Mr. McDougall.
Yes, Mr. President, I think the Chancellor, as always, did an outstanding job of presenting an overview of this very, very important task force. And given your invitation of letting you know what you and other board members can do, I think what I'd like to do is just to share very quickly with you the elements that I think are essential for this task force to be successful. And there are 5 of them that I see as critical. The first one is that the task force members are knowledgeable, competent, and committed individuals. And thanks to the Chancellor's good work, we have, I think, a rather exceptional array of individuals from throughout various areas to serve with us. I think it's particularly noteworthy, it has not been mentioned, but that Dr. Nancy Sherlock, the professor and director of the Institute for Higher Education, who wrote a report that one could say hardly generates enthusiasm for the community colleges, but provides us with some critical analysis. And to have her on the task force, I think, shows the degree of openness to looking very hard at ourselves. This is not something to paint over. This is a very serious and intentional effort. So first, the people are involved, and I think we're fortunate to have exceptional people. I think second is having a clear understanding of what we are to accomplish. As the Chancellor mentioned in his comments, the metrics, the outcomes and measures that we want to achieve. Many activities get started with a lack of clear, precise direction as to what they are going to achieve. And we're trying to avert that. We've had a number of discussions already. And as the Chancellor indicated, this will probably be the major focus of our first meeting, to affirm both the outcomes that we intend to receive and the metrics and measures by which we will know if those outcomes have been accomplished. The third element for success that I think is critical is have a plan from the very beginning that enables the tasks to be accomplished within the timeline and has a thoroughness of work activities behind it. And there's been quite a bit of work already with the outstanding participation of the 3 vice chancellors, Eric Skinner, Barry Russell, and Patrick Perry, along with the Chancellor, himself, and of course, Amy Supinger to help bring this to the fore. But that plan, I think, with the timelines and thoroughness, is extremely important. And again, that will be a focus of the first meeting, and we hope to do that. Fourth, and extremely important, is broad-based input. That we will want to look, again, as Dr. Scott mentioned, this is a item that President Obama has highlighted in terms of greater numbers of college graduates. And just about every state in the union is looking hard at it. We want to take advantage of those activities. We want to hear what's going on. We want to understand best practices. The California community colleges are outstanding. That doesn't mean we can't learn and learn a lot from others. So that broad-based exposure input will be critical for us. And then fifth, method of doing the work to provide clear operational actions in the form of recommendations and actions that will enable our colleges to move forward in this critically important area. I see those as kind of the five areas of guiding us to success. We not only have to look at student success, we have to look at how the process and our task force can be successful. And I think those represent 5 areas of focus. And I mention them to the board because, as you invited, we would love to have board members, if you have other suggestions, to let us know that. Let there be no doubt that this is a very challenging task. There are no easy answers. There are no silver bullets. I think almost every community college in the state of California has looked hard and thoroughly at this issue of how we can have greater numbers of students succeed. And the results have not been overwhelming in spite of that hard look and exceptional effort. And we hope that this undertaking, maybe with the breadth of perspective and with the number of eyes and the number of minds that will be looking at it, will yield greater numbers of suggestions that will work in our institutions. So it's a very exciting proposition, and it's one that will take dedicated focus and a lot of hard work if we expect to have a report that will truly be helpful to our colleges. So I look forward to working with the Chancellor. I think it is so very important what Dr. Scott said, that this is going to be the major area of his focus. Because frankly, let's face it, organizations work best when the chief executive says, this is my priority and this is our priority as a system. And that will make a big difference. So I look forward to working with the Chancellor and with the Vice Chancellors and all the task force members, and welcome suggestions as we go through the process.
Thank you, Member McDougall. It appears that I made a little oversight here. We actually did have one speaker on this issue, so I would invite them to come up now, and that is Aidan Ely from Folsom Lake College. And I apologize.
Thank you. My name is Aidan Ely. I'm the Dean of Student Development and Enrollment Management at Folsom Lake College. I'm also the incoming president of the Matriculation Professionals Association. President Himmelstein, members of the board, and Chancellor Scott. MPA supports the legislative intent for forming the task force and the recommendation to the board. One of the declarations by the legislature is that many of today's community college students require extensive academic and student support services to remain enrolled and succeed. Community colleges lack the resources and incentives to invest in this level of student support. I'm not here today to call attention to the resource issue, but rather to the acknowledgement of the critical role that student services and matriculation play in student success. Unlike traditional four-year colleges, our system serves millions of students. Students with real-life challenges. They have jobs, they lose jobs, they get new jobs. They have relationships, they lose relationships. Loved ones die, they have children, they get sick. Some have health care, some do not. Some are addicted, some are in recovery. Some go to jail, some get out of jail. Some have homes, some do not. Some can buy books, others can't. Some have food, some are hungry. Some go to war, some come home. Many know little about navigating the educational bureaucracy, and most do not have a realistic perception of their abilities or the standards and requirements of attending college. Although they believe in the value of education, literally hundreds of thousands really have no clear goal when they arrive, even if they put something down on a form because we ask or require it. I have read thousands of readmission petitions, and these are the kinds of reasons that students tell me they failed to succeed the first time, the second time, and even the third time. In matriculation and student services, this is our side of the student success equation, and its significance should not be underestimated. The matriculation services of orientation, assessment, counseling, follow-up, and research are all about providing the student with the information, the self-knowledge, and the guidance to make informed decisions and to set goals. Financial aid, DSPS, EOPS, CalWORKS, and student government clubs and activities are about engaging the student and providing support to overcome life's challenges. Can it be done differently? Yes. Can it be done more effectively and efficiently? Yes. Our matriculation conference in November drew over 100 professionals to dialogue on innovative strategies to do just that. A new statewide matriculation strategic plan has been developed. There are promising statewide initiatives underway, and many new service delivery approaches are being explored or implemented right now on campuses across the state. This is our field of study. These are the areas of our expertise. I will tell you honestly that there are many professionals in student services who do not believe their voices are being proportionately represented in the student success discussion. I'm very pleased to hear that there are counseling faculty and a chief student services officer on the committee. I'm here today to affirm our interest in promoting and improving student success and our willingness to collaborate with all other constituencies in developing and presenting recommendations to this board. How may we best serve you? Thank you.
Thank you. Chancellor Scott.
Yes, I want to thank you for those great remarks, and that's exactly what we want to hear when we're in our Student Success Task Force, is to hear from the field. And you eloquently pointed out the importance of student support services. We'll be talking about assessment. We'll be talking about matriculation. We'll be talking about orientation. I will also mention that we do have counseling faculty, and we do have a chief student services officer, and also our classified person on that is matriculation student personnel assistant over at American River College. So I think student support, and you know, unfortunately, the state has not shown its support for student support as it should, and we know that, for instance, student support took such a hit in terms of all the counseling and all the other services. So we'll do the best we can, but that's the very kind of testimony that we're going to be excited about hearing, and we realize even with the 20 task force members that we have, we're going to have to hear a lot from the field, and I was real pleased to hear Dr. McDougall emphasize that, to say that one of the things we really want to do is to have a tremendous input from the field, and we will be looking at the possibility. We're not only going to have a web page where we can have solicit support, but we're probably going to go out into communities and have some town hall meetings where we can really hear from the people, because that's terribly important. So thank you.
Okay, well, we are moving through here. Do you need me? Yeah. Okay. We are moving very, very quickly, and as you see, it's time for lunch. But,
Wow.
no, we did vote? We did vote.
No, we didn't vote.
Oh, we didn't vote, sorry. Okay, well, we'll do that, but if it's okay with the rest of the board, after we do vote, we'll take a short break, and Jerry needs to load some things on the computer, but I'd like to, if it's okay with everybody, just kind of keep moving through. And if we get done early, we get done early today. So we had a motion by Member Baum, and I think a second by Member Davis-Lyman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's take a, how long do you need in, Jerry? 10-minute break. Okay.